Welcome to the Outside the Business Boxes podcast, where we're talking about how to ignite your business today for the future using systems for everything you do in your business to make your life, your employees' lives, and your customers' lives easier for you to ultimately enjoy your business and, of course, make more money. I'm your host, Chad Murray.
Thank you for coming outside the business box. I am Chad Murray, your host for this venture today into systems. Today, we're going to be talking about what I do with my systems and some different things that I coach about. And I made a list. I've been working on it a half the day today of anything I can think of that comes up with what my systems actually are, either at Master Services or what I've learned through coaching and brought to Master Services and brought to the coaching world. But first, a word from our sponsors. If you're in the need of a camera, SnapLock cameras is your I'm terrible at this. I can't even do a commercial, so I'm just gonna say SnapLock and its tools and stuff that you can buy with cameras and stuff. So little blooper reel there for you there, and then Bare Hands Pro, your premier inspection program for your chimney industry. Those guys are great over there, and they will do almost anything for any price for you to put onto that report. So shout out to Zach and Mike Fazy over there doing a great job there. And so let's get into it. So to my list, what is important for when you start working with me as a client? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to want you to know your sales numbers. So I always start off with last week, this week, and next week. What are your sales numbers? Do you actually know them? And the shocking thing to me is, honestly, a lot of people don't know until the end of the month when they get a report from some bookkeeper or something like that, or they really don't know. Well, why is that important? Well, you want to know what you're selling to be able to put in production. So you can look in the next year, so you can start forecasting goals and projections. So it may not be that big of a deal to start, but it's absolutely a big deal for when you grow. And so the next number I want you to know, which is not sales, it is your weekly production numbers. How much are you actually producing that week? And this again goes last week, this week, and next week. And even at Masters, we even go out 2 weeks in advance to see what we have up. And this is where it comes down to scheduling for profits. I've been scheduling for profits and being a profit for everybody to schedule for profits, because how do you know if you're making any money? You're just busy, but that doesn't mean you're actually making money. And it tends to work out when I start working with a company. They're generally not like financially in turmoil, but when we identify what their sales are versus their production, they find out that they're not making any money. So what you're going to do is, what we're going to start off with is what we call the Squirrel's Nut Report, in short, called the Nut Report. So with the Nut Report, there's a whole list of what you're going to add to this report. When I started, the Nut Report was only my sales numbers, my production numbers, my expenses for the week, which gave me my profit or loss. That's it. So for you out there who have nothing but waiting for a bookkeeper or somebody in the office or yourself to do, am I making any money, or your sales projections and stuff for the week, if you even do it, that's the first thing you need to do. Nothing else matters except for, are you making money? Are you scheduling to make money? And then once you start seeing the numbers, start identifying how I can make more money. So it's funny when I go to coach somebody and we go, well, how much money do you have up for the week? Well, I don't know. we're busy. The schedule's full. Okay. But that does not tell me or you how much money you're making. And so, for instance, if you are busy in October, and that's typically a chimney company busy, or if you're an AC company busy in July, just because you're busy doesn't exactly mean how much money you're actually profiting or how much money you could be profiting. And generally, that 1 month or a couple months out of the year, if you're a seasonal busier business like a chimney or an AC company, November, October for chimney company, and July and August for AC companies, you want those months to be as productive as possible. So you must have a system to make it as profitable as possible. What I just told you, that little knowing those numbers, that's the first way of knowing it. That's how you put in the right jobs at the right timing on the right people to be able to quantify how much you have up and how much you could have up if you scheduled it correctly. And I know you might be thinking, well, we schedule all the time. What's the difference? Well, when you start looking at the numbers, you'll start recognizing how I'm not saying you're going to take customers that don't deserve it and move another week, but you'll start putting things around your schedule to where your numbers will go up. You'll start identifying holes in your schedule that looks busy, but it's like, okay, well, we could actually take this one on crew A and put it over on crew C because crew C can do this better than crew A. And now crew A has a thing. So you can pull from another week and put something on crew A. And now all of a sudden you went from 1,000-day profit on that day to 2,500. That's the difference. When you start doing this, you start actually accounting for these numbers, you can literally double to triple your money. And I've done it for more than 60% of my clients immediately by just identifying their sales and their production. Okay, so I'm going to go through what the current day nut report for master services looks like. Now, you can write this down if you feel like it, but I'm going to tell you, this report is 25 years in the making and still growing. So, I mean, it is literally started off with just my sales, just my production, and just my expenses, which told me my profit or loss. But this is what we've added to it since. Sales per opportunities, SPOs. We've added salesperson sales this week and yearly. We've added salesperson's closing average dollars this week and yearly. We've added salesperson's closing average per opportunity. So let me go through those again really quick, what all those mean. SPOs, sales per opportunity. You're going to take your sales and you're going to divide it by how many opportunities they had to go out and sell, whether they sold it or not. If they went to 20 appointments, then it's divided, the sales divided by 20. And that'll come up with your average. Okay. Now, what are the person's sales? What did that person sell for that week? Okay. And then you do a running total to next week to keep the yearly going. So you can add it up to see what their sales are for the year. Closing average dollars. So what that means is they went and did 20 appointments and they sold whatever their sales are, right? And so, which is kind of the same thing as their sales, but it is the same thing. But the reason we write it down is because it's the next number that matters. What is the closing average per opportunity? So, I mean, if they sold 7, or let's make it easier, they sold 10 jobs and they went to 20 opportunities, they have a 50% closing ratio, right? I would say typical closing ratio, seriously, that I see with companies that are less than 5 trucks is 30 to 40%, and 40 is on the high end. My company, the average right now is right around 46, and we have fairly all new educators. I think we have 2 tenure out of 7 right now, which is our estimators. We have 5 brand new guys, and so our sales opportunity back when I had a seasoned crew, not as good sales, believe it or not. When I had a seasoned more crew, my sales average was close to 60. But we were also charging way less prices, and that's a whole different story. But I don't know. I've heard different numbers for at least the chimney industry, what sales average should be. I would say it's very respectable if you're over 50%. Because if you're charging the right prices, you'll find that if you close at 50% by selling stuff at $2,000 and you have a closing ratio at 43%, but you're only selling it at, I said this backwards. So if your numbers are higher in sales, meaning you're selling items at a higher price, your closing ratio is typically going to go down. You're going to get less people to buy, obviously, but you're going to find out your sales are bigger at the end of the week, and you'll have done less work or have less crews to do it. And I have truly become a believer of that, because this year alone, when we revamped our entire sales process, I just had a meeting today with, generally Dallas would have 10 production crews on the road, and we held back a crew today. We were going to release a crew to be number 10 in just Dallas, and we decided to hold back and stay at 9 because we're only booked out a week and a half. We're doing great numbers. As a matter of fact, we're crushing numbers to points of record numbers. Yet I have less crews than I did. Normally we have 10 to 12 crews on the road in Dallas. We're only going with 9 this year. I don't think we're going to go to 10. Now we may do, John did say, my general manager, he's holding back. We may do a crew just for shits and giggles for a couple of weeks. Maybe Thanksgiving and the week after Christmas is our largest week ever. We may do it those 2 weeks. But it's nice right now. We have, if anyone calls in sick or we have a rain day, we got a free crew out there. We can put stuff on. So it is nice to be in the position of lower sales percentage, higher sales that equal less work and more money in my pocket. That's what that boils down to. So we also, part of the nut report is we do crew production dollars. Now, this is for the companies that have their educators / sweeps or estimators, whatever you want to call them, that are literally, that's all they do. They don't do any work. That's it. They just estimate and sweep. Estimate, sweep, whatever. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, whatever. Now, what we do, the crews, we actually keep production dollars for the crews to see how much each crew does a week as well. They have nothing to do with it. It's all about the call center booking for them. They don't schedule their appointments. They have no say in it whatsoever. Yet when we watch it, it's really funny what you learn about crews. If you have a crew, our crews typically do $8,000 to $15,000 a week, depending on the crew. We have some easy crews, some easy trucks, so we really only look at them doing around $8,000 to $9,000, $10,000 a week. And all of a sudden, if we see a crew for I don't know why does 4,000, it's like, well, what the hell happened? And typically, you find a rain day or something else, or they messed up some stuff and didn't get paid, and that went on another week. And so we start tracking, okay, our QCs, which is coming up. So you just start learning stuff from your numbers that you never would have thought you'd find out. And that was a number we actually just added maybe 2 years ago to the nut report. And it's funny, we have actually learned more than what I just said from the crew numbers and dollars. You kind of find when someone's getting lazy, you start seeing their numbers go down. They start having more quality control. It starts coming to the point where you start realizing, are they lazy, or is it time for them? They're going rotten on you. And so that is a number that we have been beneficial to start tracking, which we had never thought of tracking for over 20 years. Okay. So with all those numbers, we also keep a company average sale amount too. So what's our average sale, for the year, and what is our average? Like if we did how many appointments divided by the sales tells us what our company sale is stuff. And so next thing is we also keep a separate dollar amount for just inspections, which in your case would be sweep inspections. We keep that separate to see how much money we're getting weekly off of that. And then here we come next is we also do quality control. That's on the report. And I'm happy to say in our two busiest weeks, well, one busiest week ever, which was last week. This week we'll top it, but I'm just being proud of last week. Last week was a busy production week, and the week before was a busy. We did over 100,000 both weeks, and we had 0 quality control in Dallas and only 1 quality control in Houston, which was a very minor, very dumb, almost shouldn't have made a report, but it did. So that's pretty big when you're firing at all cylinders and you only get 1 quality control. That's phenomenal. And so, and by the way, Dallas-Fort Worth is included in Oklahoma City, so none there as well. So, but you track that and you start seeing trends when you, like, for instance, we found in the rainy season 2 years ago, in the spring, that we were getting a lot of return quality controls for water leaks. Well, we do the full mount caps, we do the full line of chimney saver down the chimney. You know, we do the crown, or not the crown coat. Well, of course we do crown coat, but the flash seal. And so we started seeing all these return leak issues, and I started looking at the pictures, and I started noticing that the flash seal was not coming up over the cut-in of the flashing of the chimney. They were just doing right at that line. Well, sure enough, we go back and we paint that on, and the leaks were gone. And so we have a lot of leaks from deterioration in Dallas and Texas and Oklahoma. So that was literally the leak. I mean, literally the issue. And we fixed every one of them. We had like 12. Fixed them all right away, retrained the crew on make sure you go up a half inch over that cut line and maybe up to an inch, make it look clean, use the tape, do everything, you know, you do to make the flash seal look good, and all quality control future issues were solved. But you learn things from tracking it. Okay. Next thing, overtime. We also put the overtime hours in dollars, how many hours in the dollars per city. We track that. Obviously, we track our weekly sales. I don't know why I put that again. Let's see here. We do our expenses go on this report, obviously, to come up with profit and loss. We do 3-week sales versus last year. That's another category down. So we'll take in versus what we did, you know, compare to last year, which is cool because you kind of look at what you're doing versus the year out. You can physically see your sales growth, which or none. So that's a great thing we started added. We added it last year. We're getting our asses kicked by COVID, or at least our own management style did. Okay. We put our advertising sources on this report. How many opportunities do we get from Google? How many opportunities do we get from referrals and so on down the line? And that, you know, that really helps you to figure out where you should spend your money in the following year. We found out that Yelp, and this was years ago actually, but we've been tracking this since day one. But Yelp and Angie's List, you're on there for free whether you pay them or not, right? You're either down on the list wherever, or you pay and you're supposed to be at the top. Well, a couple of years back, I think it was in 2019, I actually worked out a deal with both companies to only go on there for 3 months. And I wanted to see how many appointments we got. Well, before them, the year prior, or the 3 years prior, we were averaging around a job a day, 30 jobs from really each of them was almost as identical numbers. So, and I was before I was paying, it was free. I was on the list. I was in Yelp and I didn't have to pay nothing. I was getting a customer a day. Well, we decided to pay to go up to the top. And we were only getting, instead of 30 appointments a month, same as the next year, that then we were only getting like 33 to 35 clients for like $1,000 to pay $1,000 a month. And so, it really wasn't worth like $12,000 to be in Yelp or Angie's List. So 24,000 for both of them to only get another, I don't know, 50 clients, 60 clients. It just, it just didn't seem, since we were getting them anyway, minus those extra clients, it just, the ROI just didn't seem it was worth it for the dollars amount spent. So we're still on the list, but we don't pay them. But we do track, again, we track where everything comes. We ask every client. All right, next. We also have the last, I guess we started 2 years ago. It would be even more than that if we didn't start. But 2 years ago, we started putting up our goals for the week. And so we put up our goal sales, goal profit, and then we would do actual sales and actual profit. And we do that all week. We keep that list for the last 2 years as it's going to keep growing. It's going to get long, as we, grow older for the years. We started that 2 years ago on the report to see, so right now I can go and show you on my weekly report my last 2 years of profit or loss, and I can do it quickly. And it's not pretty in the last 2 years. It's been wonderful since August of 2021, but from literally January of 2020 to August of 2021, it was a shit show. But anyway, it is nice to see that and to see, but it also helps me project next year's sales when we have our meeting in January up at my cabin with my management team, and we will go over and go through and project all the profit that we'll have every week. And other than 2020 and half of 2021, we generally would hit those numbers. And so it's going to be a real fun one for 2022 to see about hitting these numbers now. But anyway, okay. So we also do our nut money. What is our nut money? Explain what nut money is. Nut money is if everybody paid you right now and the cash you have in the bank is added up, that you get a dollar amount. Now, to come up with that, when you do your weekly nut report, you must do it on the same day at roughly the same morning or AM, because the bank changes so much each day, even by the hour. But if you're going to do your nut report on Saturday and you're going to do it Saturday morning, it's got to be done every week to get that number correct. Otherwise, if you do the nut number on Wednesday and the next week you do the nut number on Friday, your nut is going to be all over the place. So this way, you do it every week. You see who owes you money, how much cash you have in there. You come up with a amount of money that if you close business right now, you could run to wherever you want and hide with whatever money you have. And so, and then you come up with your cash flow. You write that down too. So you have your money of your cash flow, which is your money you actually have, plus the money that's owed to you. And then you write down the cash flow number. And then for us, you will then come up with how much money you have both ways. And then what we do is we also track our bonus money per month down there to show everybody how much bonus money is going to be divvied out for the management team. And so that is Master Services nut report. All that goes in there. Now, I don't expect anybody to go build that off of it, but if I'm not coaching you to do this is, I am coaching you to do a nut report. It's the people I coach. A lot of guys do their own little deal with a scenario and they want to track the numbers, whatever. That's our nut report. And if you are a client of mine, we can do it exactly like that and show you how to do it. If you're not a client of mine, come on board and we'll show you how to start with your sales weekly numbers or see how advanced you are to see what kind of reporting you can handle. Because it is something that there's no way in hell I would do. I pay someone to do it, and I paid someone to do it for, 14 years. Before that, I just did the easy sales, like I tell people to do right now if they've just started. Just get your expenses, do your sales, come up with your profit and loss, and that's all you need to know at this point. And then once you get that down, build it to a nut report. Okay, what else is outside the business box? Chad Murray coach. So I'll get down here. I coach a review process on how to get reviews, and how to teach your client or your employees how to get reviews. I teach you how to do it in a manner that is very difficult to start, but once you get going, it's also an SEO. You'll never have to pay anyone to do SEO if you do this properly. Okay, and I'm not going to go through the process now, but it involves some writing, it involves some linkage, and it involves you showing the guys how to do it. It is the easiest way to get yourself to number one, but it's the hardest thing to do because you got to get everybody to do it. But it works. And so next thing is we do is a BEE, is a business effectiveness evaluation. Something I've gotten away from, and I need to start this back up with my clients. I used to do it for all the guys that have been with me for a couple years to 3 years now. We all did one back in my first year. I got away from it, and I need to get back to that because you score. It's a big long list of things that you think or how you feel about your company, truths or untruths, and you give it a score of 1 to 5. And then at the end you add them all up and see what your score is, and kind of tells you what kind of business you are. And I'll tell you, we've done it twice at Masters, and it was really cool to watch how we felt about our company the first year, and then a year later how I felt about the company. Well, with some actual stuff that's number wise to it as well, and how we grew to be a better company. And this little test will do that, and so it's really cool. Next thing is we have the decision tree, and so that is how you empower your employees to get to know their product and their services and how to do stuff. And you actually have a scale thing of to graduate it to you don't need to call me anymore. This is now what we call LEAP decision. As a matter of fact, if you do call me about this again, I'm going to laugh and hang up on you because you know this, and I'm giving you the empowerment that this is not. Now, it's a process to learn the decision tree, like for one day, practice it, and then you get out there and you go do it. It's a process too, but if you stick to it, you're going to watch your people get empowered to know their products and services, and you're going to watch your life go from fielding 50 calls a day to 10, which is nice. Very nice. I teach and show people Monday.com. Actually, I hype it up. We use it. I don't really teach it because there's so many different things you can do with it, but it is a management system. You could take it into the employees as well, but it's a task orientated deadline. You can put videos on there and do all this kind of stuff. Like for instance, right now, I'm not adding any more systems at Masters right now, or looking to revamp any systems until February or March. So what am I doing now? Well, since I don't work there, I am a business coach, but I would be doing this whether I was a business coach or not. I'm giving them 4 videos a week about leadership and culture. And then they choose to take whichever video and then put it in their meeting. Or matter of fact, they put 2 videos in their meeting last week, which was super cool. And so, and they're 3-minute videos, but in Monday.com, we're able to put videos. It's really cool. And then they write a little report to me about their meeting, and then I see it. And that's all done in Monday.com. Stonely. Now, there was another one I used to use. I can't even remember the name of it right now, for scripting. Now, here's the cool thing about scripting. Everybody thinks scripting is only for the call center. Wrong. It's for your crews. It's for anybody out in the field. Now, I think a lot of people think that scripting is like robotics and you're keeping robotics. They make the script. You do the scripting to make sure the exact verbiage is said on your products and services. Well, let's face it. We're human beings. We are going to make it our own as long as it stays to the theme and no additional information goes out that is wrong, And so for instance, for us, we say we're coming out there to do an inspection. We're not doing a clean, a sweep unless it passes code. And then we pause. Pause is part of the script. And almost 100% of the time, the customer goes, well, I would expect nothing less. They say something every time when you pause, because we want them to understand we are not cleaning the chimney until it passes code. That's how we do it. And I don't care what you think about that. I think you should look to adapt something like that so that you don't take the liability of sweeping a chimney that burns down someone's house, which has happened to me 3 times. I won every one. For luckily, we had good reporting to show that we did our job. Okay. Next thing we do, one of the first things I do when you start coaching with me is job descriptions, roles. What is your job description? What's your role at your company? And we're probably going to look at everything. And whether we do a company meeting or just with you, we might redefine a lot of roles. Who's doing what? Who's in their lane? What could be taken off someone else? And that's the next thing. What can we do for you as the owner? Look at your role and who could be doing what you're doing. Someone in your company could be doing some tasks that you're doing for sure. And so if you have a staff in the office of 4 or 5 people, if you really have that, and one of them is really big into whatever system you're using for estimating, and they're good with reporting, you could give them the nut report and have them make the nut report for you. That simple. I've coached several people into someone else to do their nut report for them so that they didn't have to deal with it. They just had to review it, which is nice. I think a lot of companies have these mission statement and core values, but do you actually use it? And it's another thing I've kind of gotten away from here in the last year, which is another reason why I wrote this list, so that I could remind myself of everything that I do. I actually had a client yesterday, loved this client, said to me, what if I don't know what I don't know, and what if I were to go get someone else to coach? And I wasn't defensive, but I was like, well, what do you need? I have all of whatever else you might need. And he goes, well, I need reporting more stuff. And I'm like, well, I've got more reporting than anyone or systems on that. And so he goes, all right, well, we'll deal with that next week and start talking about it. But honestly, here's what I do advocate. I don't care and I don't want you, if you are in the growth stage and you need more coaches or more advisors and more mentors than me, I encourage it. Absolutely. You don't have to just go to me. And if you were to quit me to go to someone else, I don't want to lose the relationship. Still call and talk to me. We may not do a paid session or an exact amount every week, but it's something that we could do. And so I don't lose friends over them leaving my organization, which not many people have left, but it does happen. Okay. Mission statement and core values is where I was at. I help people redefine that, because a lot of times it's someone, you went to the internet, you looked at a bunch of lists and you picked out 5 or 6 things and you made a mission statement that's as boring as, we promise we'll show up on time and we'll do the best integrity ever. That's who we are. What's a stupid mission statement? It doesn't really come from your heart. And you have to define your company with the mission statement of really who you are and how you're going to project this into your clients, your employees, and your vendors. That all 3 needs to be addressed. And so, and then same thing with core values. You're picking out good ones, and that is from a list thing. But you have to look at what your core values really are for you. It's not what everybody else is. Really think about it. And I have people think about it, and not once have I ever had anyone keep the same ones they had. They've always made better choices that fit their personality of their business and them. All right. Hiring ads. It's something that I have gotten in the last 3 months really good at. While I was in the hospital with COVID, I wrote 1 ad and converted it into 3 ads, and we got our business staffed up as fast as I've ever seen it staffed up. And I actually turned off the ads today. We're overstaffed. That's never happened for me. And I have given these ads to other, 4 or 5 clients that were having issues, could not get anybody hired. They made the ads their own, and they work for them. But it's a process too. The process of what you do with the ad and how you reply to the people and how you go through the hiring steps to get them to show up, to get them to understand who you are and all that kind of stuff. So I've gotten very good at that. And so I help you know how to hire. So now we kind of get into a lot of stuff, or there's some mixed match stuff here that I'll talk about here. But it's the first thing that's not actually a system. It's more of a, what do you do? And when you get into situational stuff, this is where I shine. This is where a business coach or a guy with experience like me shines. Who do you talk to? You talk to me because you hired me, but you talk to me and then you forget about the money. We become good friends and all this stuff. But now we start talking and we start getting into your situations. And I'm not a guy that sits and says, you got to do this. No, I tell you what I've done. And many times I tell you I've done it this many ways, and you get to make it your own and go back, but you get to start thinking of stuff. So what I wrote down here is bad apple situations. And that is one of the things that I almost have a reoccurring same answer to everything. Fire them. Get rid of them. Bad apples do not turn green again. It occasionally happens, but typically that is my situation there. So if you ever call me up with a guy here and you have someone telling me and you're telling me that they really are rotten, I'm not going to mince words. I'm going to say fire them. That's the consultant side, the business side of me, and I'll hear what they're doing. It's like, get rid of them. All right, moving on. Employee handbook, how to change. Okay, first, having an employee handbook, because that's going to be a hiring thing anyway. But having the right things in the employee handbook, that's came up over the last couple of months with several of my clients. How to make a change, because sometimes something's not in the handbook that needed to be in the handbook. I will show you also how to make that change to where it is legally binding, because you just can't go in there and tell everybody, hey, got something new in my handbook. And then even if you have them sign it, there's more to it than what you have them sign, so that they all know you have an updated handbook or you've made a change. Okay, SOPs. That's what everybody thinks they want from me is SOPs. And of course, I have them, but it's just training videos and written instructions. It's so boring. I'm working on getting them better. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of that stuff, when you really think about it, when you're training somebody, is you can get all that from other sources. And so that's kind of where your employee handbook comes in, about adding stuff. But then you'll have your training thing. And I really like, and I came up with this this summer, is just getting a Google Drive, make your 2-3 minute video on something for an SOP, and slap it in an SOP thing and share it with everybody, the company. We haven't exactly done it, but I've had other clients of mine do it, and they're doing great with it. So another thing about SOPs, when you have something go wrong and you need to write an SOP, it's great meeting content, something to talk about. When something goes wrong and you have to write an SOP, wonderful meeting content next time you have a meeting. And so, which is another thing. I teach you how to do a meeting. There's a stepping process of meetings. And I actually just came up with something even better that I saw. And I sent it over to my management team on Monday.com a couple of weeks ago on how to really run a meeting. And it is something that I need to take a note on to show all my clients. This is a process that is really great. And my team's been doing it now, and they really love it because it shows step by step on minutes on how to run a meeting. And I think I'm going to just credit, I got this from Mike Fazy. I don't know if I got the same one from him. I went and found my own. But Mike Fazy does this, and it's really cool. At Mike's Mobile, Mike Fazy from Mike Mobile. And also, it's also the owner of Bare Hands Pro. So if you're not using the chimney inspection program, Bare Hands Pro is the one for you. And also, SnapLock cameras and all their equipment. SnapLock, great equipment for the chimney industry. There you guys go. All right. So let's move on. I actually put my glasses on. It's getting dark in here as I record. Employee surveys. I'll give you the idea to do them, but then Most people are scared to do surveys, and I got a lot. I can't lie. I had half I literally had half my clients do employee surveys before I ever did one, and I saw the results and stuff, and I had always meant to do one, but I'm not gonna lie, I was scared to do one. And guess what? We did our first one. It came out great. It came out so great we did it again to see if they were lying to us, and we mixed up the questions, and it all came out really good. And so, we don't have a lot of turnover, but it's still nice to know, some things about you. And one thing about surveys, employee surveys, ask some hard questions, like expect some negativity, like lead them into a negative, like something is broken in your company or needs fixing. Bring it up and see what they think, because you really want to hear what they have to say about it. And so, anyway, okay. Another thing that I teach, I preach in there is the anatomy of a sale and the anatomy of what the crew does when they show up. This is like, what does a crew do when they show up to a house as they pulling up all the way to doing the job and leaving, like closing the door, turning the truck on. Anatomy of a sale. I have it all the way written down of exactly how you do it. And you train everybody how to do it. And now everybody's on a system on what to do and how to do it. Crew-wise too. Show up, someone knocks the door, the other guy's getting the ladders out, and you go through this process. And everybody's doing the same process. And that is, by God, helped us get the crews to be very, very proficient or effective, efficient, and all that. So that is really cool to go through and learn, to teach people. Marketing dollar evaluation. I can tell you right now, I've looked at several of my new companies' marketing budgets and looked at their budgets or looked at what they're spending on Google or what they're spending on SEO. And I will save people so much money going, why are you spending that on that? Because a lot of times they had no idea what you're spending your money on or why you're spending so much money on it, blah, blah, blah. And I seriously have saved, I'll bet you I've saved over $5 million in people's budgets in the last 3 years. Seriously, out of companies. It's that much. I'll look at stuff and I'll show you don't need to be spending that much money on this, this, and this. You go do it and you'll all of a sudden, you're like, I didn't realize. Like, I mean, Google AdWords, you shouldn't be spending, if you're spending any money on Google AdWords, I'll just tell you advice right now, cut it in half today. Tomorrow, cut it in half. Or if not, turn it off. I mean, either way, depending on the time of year. So, moving on. Workflow. Again, kind of like I said, anatomy of a sale, I'll help you with workflow on whatever system you're using. And plus, I will help you either get a Kickserve or help you with ServiceTitan or whatever, House Call Pro, Jobber, whatever you have, I will help you make that system more efficient for you. I'm very, very tech savvy with that and good at that. Accountability discipline per offense. You should have a list of kind of like, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. I know Mark Stoner has his accountability. You get a point system. We just have if you do this, you're fired. If you do this, you're getting written up. That's what we do. I don't need a point system. I've coached people into point systems because they needed it. Master Services just happens to not be one of those companies that needs that. Okay. Now we talked about job description at the time. We want to talk about management roles. What does the management do? They review the numbers. They do the daily and weekly meetings. They're reviewing the estimates and the jobs. Big, big task. I don't care how you think your people are great. You start reviewing the estimates and jobs, you're going to find out your best guy may not be your best guy. Matter of fact, you might find out the guy sucks. I have found a lot of crappy number one employees over the years because we start looking at the reports, which the home or the owner of the business is not doing, and start to find out, well, I just told them last week to do that, and he didn't do it not once, even still. And so are things, I need a picture of this, I need a picture of that, I need a note here. I mean, why aren't they writing it up like this? Why did they miss this and that? you have to look at the jobs. You cannot just sit in your office and field their phone calls, deal with customers. You have to be looking at everything going in and out of your jobs and estimates. Okay, and then obviously you're going to be doing new SOPs, system development, leadership content. It's kind of the rough overview of what management roles are and how I help you do them. Here's a big one for you, and most of you in the chimney business are, but if you're not in the chimney business, industry associations. It's the biggest way you'll get help and learn how to grow your business other than working with me. Objective feedback. That is something that when working with me, I'm just going to tell you, I don't sugarcoat anything. If I think you're full of shit, I'm going to tell you you're full of shit. If I think you're doing something crappy, I'm going to tell you you're doing something crappy, and there's better ways to do it. Because generally, if I get to that point, you keep asking me how to fix something and your system sucks. So I'm going to help you do a better thing. But there's also the objective feedback on what you should do. I mean, you don't just talk to me for the hour and a half you're with me every week. You can call me anytime. I got people calling me and texting me, what do you think about this? And I give them, hey, yes and no, or, I did it like this, or I haven't done that before. Let's look at it. Call me, or I'll call them, but it's who are you talking to? Honestly, a lot of my newer clients aren't using me as much in the effectiveness of my objection feedback idea of calling me and texting more often. To utilize me and get your money's worth even more. I'm not saying call me every random thought, but if you have an issue, call me. Call me. Don't wait till the next time we have a session. Call me. Text me. But that's what you get when you work with me. And then industry insight. Obviously, I have a little insight into the industry, not only because I've been around a long time, but I know people. And so just to put it bluntly. And then the last thing I wrote here is a client insight perspective from other clients. That's something that I actually had some help from a couple of my clients to write this list a little bit. And they really loved that. So I'll read that again. Client insight, the perspective of my other clients. That I don't tell you that, Mike Fazy says this and does this or does this, but I get to see what all my people are learning from me and what they're doing. I've learned from my people. That's how come I started masonry. I mean, I got guys out there that I coach that are just killing it in masonry, right? Why in the hell why am I not killing it in masonry? Which now we are, but you get that from me knowing, anywhere from 25 to 40 clients I have, you get that perspective, and then, so to tell you about the pro coaching program, just to let you know, it's a monthly fee. It's generally $1,200 a month. You get unlimited calls and unlimited emails. You every 6 weeks we do a mastermind, just a group call with all my one-on-ones. We don't exactly mastermind all the time, but we chit chat, talk, do a little masterminding, maybe do a little training, and someone's got a good thing to talk about. But you get to know everybody across the country, and I've got all 4 time zones, and everybody starts to get to know each other. Really good at the conferences. I take everybody out for dinner. You get to be part of my tribe, and so and you get to talk. You get everybody's number. You get to call them, ask them. So you're really becoming part of how to grow your deal. Anyone who's been with me for 4 months has within the year almost doubled their business. It's almost exclusively I've done that for almost everybody. So almost double. And so most of them at least have gotten to be quite a bit more profitable, generally pretty quick. So that's my time, guys. That's kind of the list of stuff I do. And there is probably a plethora, bad word, ton of shit out there that I still do that I can't think of in the last 12 hours that I have done for people and showed. There's probably 15, 20 systems that I show everybody that didn't even make this list. But I wanted to give you a list out there and kind of see what it's about, and that's what I offer. And if anything else, if you're not going to come work for me, I just gave you a list of stuff that you could do for your company. So with that said, hey, thanks for coming to my podcast again. I appreciate everybody. Remember, Bare Hands Pro is your exclusive inspection process, and SnapLock is your tool place to go get some specialty tools for the chimney industry. Thank you, everybody, and God bless.